question that he asked in specific was when he isn't considered in the GOAT conversation because I went to the Warriors. Yes! Yes! That is it. That is absolutely it. I mean, there are many other things too, but bro, that is 100% it.
That's kind of where we're going, right? The drama, because Katie recently told a publication, The Republic to be exact, that the question should be, why shouldn't I be in the GOAT conversation? That's the question you should be asking. And my thing is, no, it's not a question that we should be asking. Like, it's not even a thought, Martin. And I'm going to get my bars off in a little bit, but Martin, I'm going to let you go because I know you have a different approach to it for me and Terrika. But yeah, I just like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about, KD?
It's very confusing. Katie's logic and thinking sometimes can be very confusing. The GOAT thing, it's the GOAT thing. Like here's my thing. Nowadays, we're comfortable throwing out some really quality basketball accolades to people, right? A lot of people are left and right very cool right now with saying that Kyrie Irving is the most skilled basketball player we've ever seen. And for a game that is highly built on skill, that is a huge compliment. Like that's kind of close to saying you're one of the best I've ever seen. And that in itself is a huge compliment. I don't know why KD wants to stir this up because, dude, you have people ready to put Steph on a Mount Rushmore. You have people still struggling between LeBron, MJ, GOAT, Kobe, whatever the case. I mean, dude, you're an afterthought in the GOAT stuff. Like, I think he should be a little more content with the things that we can and do say about him. He just became top 10 all time in scoring last month. He's a 50, 40, 90 guy, one of 3 guys ever to do it over multiple seasons. He's an all-time great scorer, maybe the best scorer we've ever seen. Those are great things to say about a basketball player. Those are great. Why are you projecting this GOAT thing on us? We don't need to talk about you as a GOAT. There are things that you need to have as a GOAT that he doesn't have, and that's why not. Because you would have had to win like 2 straight rings in Brooklyn. You would have to win a ring in Phoenix right now, like this season. You would have had to been stacking rings since you left Golden State for that to even be a conversation. So it's very confusing. But it's like, dude, we can praise you for being a great basketball player without having to talk about GOAT. Like it's okay.
Terrika, here we go. Uh-oh. I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready for you to lay him out.
I just don't understand. My mind just does not comprehend why he says these kinds of things. Because for what? Like, the question that he asked in specific was when he isn't considered in the GOAT conversation because I went to the Warriors. Yes! Yes! That is it. That is absolutely it. I mean, there are many other things too, but bro, that is 100% it. You cannot tell me that you think you are the greatest of all time and you haven't been able to efficiently win a championship on your own. And you haven't been able to even consider going to a team where you can be the most dominant player because you left there to go to Brooklyn to play with who? James Harden and Kyrie Irving. And then you left there to go to Phoenix to play with who? Devin Booker and a barely there Bradley Beal. Are you serious? Like, this does not make...
And don't forget Chris Paul either. Don't forget Chris Paul either before.
Jesus. Babe, listen, Kevin, I want you to have a seat, sir. And I want you to sit there and I want you to think about some things. I want you to think about, when did we start putting Kobe Bryant in the GOAT conversation? When did we start putting Michael Jordan in the GOAT conversation? Hell, for that matter, LeBron didn't even get in the GOAT conversation until after he had already won a championship in Cleveland on his own. So, bro... There's a box There's a little box here called the "Don't Say That Shit No More" box. Throw that in there and toss that. What river? What's closest to you in Arizona? I don't know. To something. The Gulf of Mexico. Something. I don't know. Whatever the body of water is that's closest to you, throw that shit in that box and don't bring that out no more.
At all. Please. Thank you, Terrika, for that word. We just been blessed with a reverend. Because KD has he has a very interesting personality and relationship with the media, where he's like, you guys call me thin-skinned and all this stuff, and I just want to hoop. But then you also want to be in those conversations that are not about just strictly basketball. It's about, who's the greatest. And right, that's so hard. That's subjective. When we talk about the greatest player of all time, you will never be in that conversation, to all the reasons that Martin and Terrika point out. It's not the fact that he went to the Warriors. It's the fact that the Thunder were up 3-1 on them that year. They won 73 games, right? They were up 3-1 to the Cavs. Then, of course, they lost.
Yes.
And then you say, you know what? We were so close to beating them.
I'm going to go.
Let me go join them.
Yes.
You know what? Let me go. What? And look, that's his prerogative. That's his right. So I'm not going to, say he can't do that, whatever. But I will say you're going to be looked at differently, because any person who's competitive, they're going to say, oh, that's the best team. Let me figure out a way to beat them. Let me figure out a way to get my squad better so that next year we can whoop that ass. I'm not trying to, bro, what?
Yeah. It's crazy to me, Chris.
Yeah,
go ahead, Martin.
No, that I was gonna say, we have a term on the playground when you pick your teams, and your two captains, you pick their teams, and when one team seems a little more loaded than the other, we have a term. We say, oh no, that's kill. I don't know if they still say that, but we used to say that on the playground. Like, no, that team is kill. That's too much. Y'all gotta split that up. Once KD went to the Warriors, there was no more debate or discussion. Y'all could analyze the season, talk about contenders and all that. We were going into games just like, man, how much the Warriors gonna win this joint by? How much they about to kick this team? Like, it became unfair. It became kill when he went there, and he knew exactly what he was doing going there. He knew he'd get at least one. Right? He knew exactly. We all knew what was gonna happen out of that, barring injuries or whatever the case. But that's why he went there. It was as close to a guaranteed championship as possible. So that being. And those are his only 2 rings. Again, if he had won a ring in OKC before going there, maybe. Yeah. If he had rings after he had left, maybe. But dude, you know what greatest of all time entails? It entails a greatest of all time legacy. You don't have that right now.
It's not, and not even from a ring perspective. Even if we looked at individual accomplishment, you've got 1 MVP. That's great that you were an MVP. But when we talk about people who are in the GOAT conversation, they have shown year after year, and probably have been slighted some MVPs, to be honest. Because I still think LeBron could be MVP every year if he wanted to. You just can't give the man MVP every year. So there are so many individual things that he just has not quite yet reached. I think being one of the best scorers we have ever seen is probably one of the better accolades that you can have in the game of basketball. There's no reason to shy from that or be away from that. But to me, this is just unnecessary drama. It's unnecessary conversation. You said you want to keep your head down and play basketball, then keep your head down and play basketball. Stop asking to be in unnecessary conversations, because like I said, do you know how long it took for us to recognize Jordan as the greatest of all time? Because there are people who would argue to the death back then that the greatest of all time was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Or that the greatest, and will still, if you were in that era, will still say he ain't better than Kareem. Then you move forward to the Kobe era, and you still have people to this day, he ain't better than Jordan. Now you move into the LeBron era, and these are the people who you have to contend with when you're in this conversation. Now, as we discussed on a previous show, I think that there can be multiple GOATs, honestly, because the game of basketball has been shaped by so many different people doing so many different things. For example, I wouldn't put him in the GOAT conversation, but I think Allen Iverson is one of the most impactful players when it comes to shaping the culture of the NBA that anyone could ever ever discussed. I ain't putting him in the GOAT though. He ain't the GOAT, but he was impactful. So,
Yeah.
I mean, are you one of the greatest players in terms of, from a scoring perspective, in terms of when we talk about, you ain't never get to see Kevin Durant play? Boy, that boy was good. That boy was like, you missed a treat if you never got a chance to watch him hoop. But of everybody, like of all the people who played, like everybody, nah, bro. Nah.
Sorry. Try again.
Put it in the
Never gonna-
box. Put
right?
it in the box. Throw that
It's
shit
not
out.
gonna happen.
Put it in
you
the
know?
box.
And it's also partly the other thing, right? Is he was never seen. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he was ever seen as the best player in the league. You know, when he won that MVP, right, with the Thunder, I think that was an amazing year, right? We all remember it. But I still think people saw LeBron or Steph, right, as the best player. LeBron's been regarded as the best player in the league for so many years that if you don't ever have that title, that's another knock against your GOAT argument, right? And maybe it's also, from an archetype standpoint, how, like, this is a 6'10" guy. He's not 7 foot. He admitted that the other day. I'm sorry to burst anybody's bubble. Thought he was a 7-foot dude who could score all over the place, but still, magnificent score, 6'10". I won't say he's not a. I don't want to say he's not a killer, because he is, but just some of the things he said about the way he leads. He doesn't want to be the alpha male. He lets other guys lead. That all plays into it. What?
That's it. That's it. Name a GOAT who don't want to be the man. I wish you would try to say you was finna be the leader on Kobe team, but no, the hell you was not. No, you were not, sir. You was about to sit on this passenger seat. You weren't driving Kobe's bus. LeBron went to Miami and told Duane Wade, you about to go to the side. To Miami? This is Wade County. And he was like, for a few years, it's about to be Bron County. Hold up a second. And it was. So what do you mean, KD? Sir, can we move? Like, sir.
It's true though. I mean, you do need a certain bravado, almost like a certain attitude about you. Like, you can't just tweet it or say however. You can't just say, oh, why not I'm the GOAT? Right? You got to put up GOAT accolades. You got to do great. That's greatest of all time. Keyword greatest, greatness, great basketball player, right? But we're talking about your overall legacy, things that Terrika has spoken to. Those things go into being a GOAT, not just being a great player, right? Like KD is more eligible for both best of all time. Maybe some people will say he's the best. Listen, some of these kids, y'all hear some of these kids out here, Paul George is their GOAT. You got kids out, young players out here saying Paul George is their GOAT, but it's semantics.
Brandon Miller, name him. You know what I'm saying? Name him, Martin.
Yeah. And you know what? Can I just add one thing to that point? Yeah. It's just, I'm looking at KD with like these 13 All-Star appearances, right? Which I think is great that you have been recognized if that's part of your resume. But here's the thing. Fans vote for All-Stars. I will distinctly remember the year that Carmelo Anthony, and y'all know I love Melo, Carmelo Anthony was an All-Star and he was injured. This is when he was playing for New York, I believe. He was injured, missed like half the season. And come All-Star, come February, the man made the All-Star team. How? Because fans vote for that type of stuff. So if we're going to use, or if you're going to add like All-Star nods to your resume in terms of being or needing to be the GOAT, like, you need to put an asterisk or some context there, because it's a lot of folks who got All-Star nods that's because they were popular. And I'm not saying that's wrong, because I do think that like All-Star nods and recognitions should be for the fans. It should be for that kind of entertainment. So I'm not knocking it, saying fans shouldn't vote for these things. I'm saying they're not weighty enough for me. Now, all NBA, those are recognitions and accolades that come from people who know the sport, watch the sport, voters of the sport. Like that makes sense. But I'm not looking at your 13 All-Star appearances, okay? Because to your point, every fan is different. It's somebody out there right now that think Udonis Haslem is his GOAT, and that's great. I'm glad you think that man was the dude. I'm damn. Like, come on, but for real.
Yeah, why Udonis catching straight? Hey man, he just had his jersey go up. Number 40 for the Heat. Oh man, Terrika.
Crazy. It's crazy in these
He did
streets.
his thing though. He held it down. Ain't no GOAT. Yeah, ain't no GOAT there. No GOAT for KD. Never gonna happen. Arguably the best scorer of all time, right? Just from a level standpoint, every area he's got it down pat. But GOAT, yeah. I'm sorry, man. You're in the wrong place. You're never gonna be in that room with Michael Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, Wilt, Kareem. Ain't gonna do it.